Welcome to Brocker's Forge. Today I'm going to teach you Pandemic. Pandemic can be played with 2 to 4 players, takes around 45 minutes for ages 10 and up, and the complexity is 3 out of 5. Pandemic is a cooperative game where you and up to 3 more players try to stop the spread of disease. Cooperation, communication, and teamwork is essential as you attempt to cure 4 diseases to win the game. But can you do it before the disease spreads too far and starts a full pandemic? Setup. Take out the board, disease cubes, and research stations and place them on the table. Next, separate all of the cubes by color and set them on the side of the board. Place a research station on the blue Atlanta spot in North America. Place the outbreak marker on the 0 of the outbreak track. Place the infection rate marker on the first space. Place the 4 cure markers on the bottom of the board with the symbol side down. Shuffle and give each player a roll card. Place the matching colored pawns on the board on Atlanta. Place the rest of the unused player pawns and roll cards back in the box. Give each player 1 reference card. Shuffle the infection cards and flip 3 over. Put 3 disease cubes of the matching color on each of these cities and place the infection cards in the discard pile. Do this again, but only place 2 disease cubes on each city. Do this one last time, this time only putting out 1 cube per city. Shuffle the player cards, not including the epidemic cards, and deal them to each player to form their initial hand depending on the number of players. Choose your difficulty, introductory, standard, or epic. Take the remaining player cards and make equal size number of piles based on your difficulty. Place 1 epidemic card on each pile. Shuffle all of the piles, then place them on top of each other and put them on the player spot on the board. Players look at the city cards in their hand, and the player with the highest population city goes first. Each player's turn is divided into 3 parts: actions, draw cards, and infect cities. On your turn you may do up to 4 actions. You can do any number of the same action on your turn. Some actions may involve discarding a card from your hand. All of the cards go into the discard pile. The ability on your roll card may change how an action is done. Drive or ferry. Move your pawn to another city connected by white line. Direct flight. Discard a city card to move to the city listed on the card. Charter flight. Discard the city card that matches the city you are in and move to any city. Shuttle flight. Move from the research station you are at to any other research station on the board. Build a research station. Discard the city card with the same name that your pawn is at and place a research station at that city. If all the research stations are used, you can pick up one that is built instead. Treat a disease. Remove 1 disease cube that your pawn is at and place the cube in the supply next to the board. If the disease was cured, then remove all cubes of that color on the space. If the last cube of a disease was removed, flip the corresponding vial color over. Share knowledge. You can give the city card that matches the city you are in to another player, or you can take a city card that matches the city you are in from another player. If a player receives a card and their hand exceeds 7 cards, they must discard immediately down to 7 cards. Discover a cure. At any research station, discard 5 city cards of the same color from your hand to cure the disease of that color. Move the disease cure marker up to its cure indicator. If no cubes of the color are on the board, the disease is now eradicated. Flip the cure marker over to show the eradicated side. Draw. After doing your 4 actions, draw 2 cards from the player deck. If before you draw there are fewer than 2 cards, then the game ends and everyone loses. Infection rate marker. If any of the cards you drew was an epidemic card, immediately do all of the following. Move the rate marker forward 1 space. Draw the bottom card of the infection deck. Put 3 disease cubes of that city on the board. If that disease color was eradicated, then do nothing and discard the card. If the city already has cubes on it, then add cubes until there are 3 cubes on the city and perform an outbreak. Outbreak. When an outbreak occurs, move the outbreak marker down 1 space. Place 1 cube of its disease color on every city connected by a white line. If any of the affected cities already have 3 cubes of the same color, do not place a cube there and an outbreak also happens at that city. This is known as a chain reaction outbreak. A chain reaction outbreak moves the outbreak marker forward 1 space. Next, place cubes just like before, but do not add any cubes to any cities that have already had an outbreak or chain reaction outbreak as the result of the current infection card. After resolving an epidemic card, remove them from the game. You do not draw replacement cards for them. From outbreaks, a city may have multiple kinds of diseases. They can have up to 3 of each color on any one city. If you happen to draw 2 epidemic cards at the same time, fully resolve the first epidemic card, then fully resolve the second epidemic card. If this happens, then the second epidemic infection card will be the only card to reshuffle, ending on top of the infection deck. An outbreak will happen in the same city during infections unless an event card is played to prevent this. Intensify. Reshuffle just the cards in the infection discard pile and place them on the top of the infection deck. Draw as many cards as indicated by the current infection rate from the top of the deck. Infect each city one at a time by placing 1 cube on that city unless the disease color has been eradicated. If there are 3 cubes already on the city, perform an outbreak. Discard the card. Event cards can be played at any time except when drawing and resolving a card. If 2 epidemic cards were drawn, resolve the first card, and an event card may be played before the second epidemic is dealt with. Any player can play an event card during anyone's turn, and does not count as taking an action. The player who plays the card determines how it is used. After the current player has infected cities, their turn is over. The player to their left begins their turn. To win is to find the cure to all 4 diseases. You do not have to eradicate them. If any of the following happens, you immediately lose the game. The outbreak marker reaches the last spot on the track. You cannot place all of the disease cubes required on the board. A player cannot draw 2 player cards after doing their action. Thanks for watching! This is all you need to know to play Pandemic. If you like this video and would like to see more, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell to get a reminder whenever we post a new video, and see you next time!